This is FE Peer Review. The date is the 19th of September 2022. Gleason Map distances versus Google Earth and flight times. Just a quickie here. Has to do with distances on the Google Earth map of the globe Earth versus distances on the Gleason map of a supposed flat Earth. Now, our friendly flat earthers have yet to actually give us a map they're ready to commit to of the flat Earth, but this is a map they repeatedly point to, so I'm going to point to it as well. What we have is, I did a video last March of 2021, and just yesterday, a gentleman by the name of Paranthropus Slam left me a comment. Nice quote debunk, haha. Now try to debunk the 20 plus hours of flying required to go from South Africa to South America, which also happens to pass over Europe. Well, I left him a little response to that, but then I also went to my friendly viewers and sent a little message out saying, if you happen to know of any such flights, please let me know. I have not been able to find a non-stop flight. Well, Andrew Johnston, thank you very much, Andrew Johnston, came up with this. The only direct Southern Africa and South America I have found so far is Luanda, Angola to Sao Paulo, Brazil, Angola Airlines, 8.5 hours. Thank you again. So I went to the Angola Airlines website and I did a search for that particular flight, and there it is. It is a 8.5 hour flight, and it's on a Boeing 777, and it's from Luanda to Sao Paulo. So we have a flight we can work with now. So at this point, I went over to Google Earth, and here we are in Google Earth. I've got Luanda, Angola on the right, and I've got Sao Paulo, Brazil on the left, and we've traced a path between the two. That path has as its length, properties, 6,573 kilometers. Now, that's not airport to airport, that's just city to city, so it's within a few kilometers airport to airport. 6,573. So we've got an 8.5 hour flight, and it's going from Luanda to Sao Paulo. Now, we're going to figure on 10 or 15 minutes at each end of that flight to get from a standstill at the gate with the doors closed to actually taking off, plus another 20 minutes or so to get from takeoff to cruising speed. That means at a 8.5 hour flight, it'll be more like about 7 hours and a quarter of flying at cruising speed. So let me bring up my trusty calculator here, and let's take 6,573 kilometers and divide that by 7.25 hours. Gives us a cruising speed of 906. So that's just about exactly what the internet tells us a Boeing 777 cruises at. Well, that's all very nice. So the time it takes for a Boeing to get from Luanda to Sao Paulo seems to confirm, or at least it seems to match, the distance that's shown here on Google Earth. I thought it would be interesting to look at another flight path that is of similar length and another flight. And so I've traced up here New York to Munich. Let's take a look at that. New York to Munich is 6,505 kilometers, so pretty nearly the same distance. And there are lots of flights along that path, so let's go take a look at one. Here I am in flights.google.com, and I'm looking at the flight from Munich to New York, Lufthansa. It's a non-stop flight, and it's 9 hours one way, 8 hours and 10 minutes the other. It's got to do with the jet stream, so it's on average about 8.5 hours. Roughly. And we see from Google Earth that the distance is approximately the same. So, very interesting. The flights take roughly the same amount of time, and the distances per Google Earth are approximately the same. Now, let's zoom out a little bit there, and we can see the two paths. So, last question. What does it look like on a Gleason map? Well, I went over to Google and pulled up Gleason Maps and found a nice high resolution version of one. There it is. I'll click on it and you can see that it's pretty good detail. It's best I can find. And I popped that into Photoshop. So here we are in Photoshop looking at our Gleason map. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We don't need to see the whole thing. We only need to see the relevant part. A little too much. All right, now I've created a line going from Sao Paulo to Luanda, and I'm going to zoom in just a little more because I know the text resolution is poor because of the image, but there it says Sao Paulo de Luanda, St. Paul de Luanda. Must be an old map. And there you see Sao Paulo. Okay. And I also created a line connecting New York and Munich. I'll turn that on. Looking good so far. Now let's compare these two lines. I'm going to make a copy of that second one. Duplicate layer. And we will move that guy over here. We'll get the bottom tips lined up. And then we'll rotate it. And there's our two lines, a red one and a green one. The distance from New York to Munich and the distance from Sao Paulo to Luanda. These are two distances that take within a few minutes the same amount of time to fly and which are within a few kilometers the same length on the globe Earth model. However, on the Gleason map, the distance from Sao Paulo to Luanda is almost twice as far. So, Paranthropus Slam, that leaves the ball in your court. You're going to have to explain why there's such a big discrepancy between the distances on the Gleason map and the times it takes to do these flights. Now, don't tell me you don't like the... Well, okay, you can tell me you don't like the Gleason map. That's just fine. But you've either got a map and it works, or you don't have a map and you haven't got a thing to stand on. So which is it? You haven't got a thing to stand on, or you know this doesn't actually work? I have my hunch what it is for you, but I'm going to let you tell us. Thank you. Everybody have a great day. Oh, remember there's a button down there that says like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Okay now, bye-bye.